Hello and welcome to this video on exception handling in Java. Exception handling in Java is one of the most powerful mechanisms to handle runtime errors so that the normal flow of application can be maintained. In this video, we'll be learning about what is exception handling, the different types of exception handling, the general cases where these exceptions occur, and how to handle these exceptions in this video. So let us dive into the topic. What is exception handling? Exception handling is a mechanism to handle runtime errors such as class not found exception, arithmetic exception, IO exception, SQL exception, etc. So, let us understand the types of exception. There are mainly two types of exception, checked and unchecked. A error is occurred as the unchecked exception. However, according to Oracle, there are three types of exceptions, namely checked exception, unchecked exception, error. So what is the difference between them? So checked exception, the classes that directly inherit the throwable class except runtime exception and error are known as checked exception. For example, input output exception, SQL exception, etc. Checked exceptions are checked at compile time. Unchecked exception, the classes that inherit the runtime exception are known as unchecked exception. For example, arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, array index out of bound exception, etc. Unchecked exceptions are not checked at compile time but are checked at runtime. Error. Error is irrecoverable. Some examples of error are out of memory error, virtual machine error, assertion error. So now let us look at some common scenarios of Java exceptions. So here we will be dealing about some scenarios where unchecked exceptions might occur. So the first one is arithmetic exception. If you divide any number by 0, there occurs an arithmetic exception. For example, I initialize a variable a and assign the value 50 divided by 0. And now when I try to print the number, let us see what happens. As you can see, the error occurs at runtime, not compile time. So the error here is exception in thread main java.lang arithmetic exception divided by 0. So this is called arithmetic exception. So any number divided by 0 is undefined and it cannot be stored inside the integer. So the next error is null point exception error. Null point exception error is nothing but when a variable is declared as null value, performing any operation on the variable throws a null pointer exception error. For example, I'll have a string and define the value null to that string. Now, when I try to print this string by performing any operation, for example, like a length, let's see what happens. Again, it is compiled. That means there is no compile time error occurring here. Now, when I do run, I get the exception as null pointer exception. So this is one of the exceptions that often occur. The third scenario is where number format exception. For example, I have a string ABC. Now, when I try to convert this string into integer by initializing int I equal to integer dot parse int and convert my string to integer, this is practically an error because number format cannot be changed such. As you can see, we are getting this number format exception error. So the next type of error that we might face is array index out of 1. So if I initialize an array a equal to new of int of 5 variables. So my arrays this 5. So now if I try to assign the value of a of 10 to some value, this is going to throw an error because the Array's capacity is only 5 elements and I'm trying to push in the 10th element's value. So let's see what happens. As you can see, I'm getting array index out of bound exception. So these are some of the classic exceptions that you often face in your day-to-day coding problems. And let us see how to solve this. We can solve this by using a try catch statement. What do I mean by that? So let's go back to our first example. Our first example is arithmetic exception. My integer value a is assigned 50 divided by 0, right? So what do? I write my try catch statement. What do I mean by that? I write try, and inside my try statement, I provide whatever statements that I use inside my try statement. If any of the statements have this exceptions, it jumps into catch. My catch will now contain the arithmetic exception. And I write E. E is nothing but the variable that I'm assigning to this arithmetic exception, and it is caught in this statement. Once it is caught, I'll try to print this statement now. E. So now, when I try to run this code, as you can see, our program is not throwing an error, but instead writing the error here and the program is continued. For example, if I write system.out.println code ended, as you can see, I'm getting the output code ended. This means that the error is being handled by the try catch statement and our program continues to run after that. In our previous case, an error was thrown during runtime and the program would have not continued. So this goes for all the 4 exceptions that we saw. We can also not specify what kind of exceptions we want. If you're specific about the exceptions, you can also have multiple catch statements in your code. Array index out of bound exception and E, and you can handle those errors using the statement also. Or else another statement is that you can have them as single exception. Instead of arithmetic exception, you can just handle it as exception E and handle them, and you wouldn't require multiple handle statements here. So by doing so, we'll get the answer. Same answer. So we can also perform certain functions. For example, I can print the statement like 50 divided by 0 is not possible. Try again and make them perform it once more. So this helps us to resolve the code and proceed further. So in this video, we saw what is exception handling, the different types of exception handling, and some common use case scenarios where exceptions occur and how do we handle them. Hope this video was helpful. Thank you.